Hello, Yu-Gi-Oh players, how are you today? And welcome to another video. I have a deck profile for you today, and it is Chimera branded. I think Chimera branded is a competitive deck in today's format, and it's been winning me a lot of games. I went to YCS Richmond. I went 7-2 on day one, and then I lost on day two, and then I won my last round. So I went 8-3, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yes, I went 8-3 at YCS Richmond. Then I went to a regionals, YCS, not YCS. It was Richmond again, regionals over the past weekend, and I won 6. I lost 3. Not that bad. It wasn't. All my matches were great. I didn't get blown out. It was just every match, every duel came down to the wire, and I was so surprised at how well the deck did and how I just was not losing. No one killed me on the first turn. No one, well, one person did. But all my matches came down to game 3, and it was fun. A couple of months ago, I had another regionals in Richmond again. Same thing. Went 6-3 with the deck. And I was like, this is a good deck. All the decisions, all the moves that I had to make to win, it was in my hands. The deck never lost to itself. Everything came down to the wire. So I'm going to show you the deck profile. I'm going to show you some combos. We're going to do some test hands. And then I'm going to talk about the nitty gritty. If you really want to know about the nitty gritty of the deck, if you play this deck, there are some moves, some plays you can make that most YouTubers aren't talking about because it really comes down to the game state that you're in. If you're playing against your opponent and you have a weird hand, or your opponent has a weird board, or your graveyard is set up a certain way, especially if they negate your monster effect, your big wing, and now you're stuck and you're like, what to do next? There are some intricate plays, or I would call them secret plays. I don't know the right word, but there are some plays that I was able to make to win my duels. So these are combos beyond, I'll call them beyond the typical combos that you see. So we'll talk about that. This might be a long video. If you're interested in this type of stuff, leave a comment. Tell me, hey, I want to see more. If you're not, okay, you can pass on. Or maybe I can make it into 2 parts. I can do one, the deck profile, and another part, we could talk about the intricacies, the small little things of the deck. So I'm going to show you the deck profile, and then we'll talk about some more things. Here we go. Okay, here we go with the deck profile. We have 3 Cornfield Codal. So, this is your searcher for the deck. It searches out every monster in your deck that mentions Chimera Fusion. And that's what people keep forgetting. It searches every one of them. And that's very important. That I've seen people play the deck and they're like, oh, I don't have a play. There's no way for me to get to Gazelle. There's no way for me to get to the Big Wing Bertha mat or blah, blah, blah. You can just search it with this card. And people have been losing because it's not normal to search out your Big Wing Bertha mat. It's not normal to search out this card with Codal, but you can. And people don't do that. But it can possibly lead to you winning a duel. That's one thing that people don't do, which it's not normal, but it's a special circumstance. You might want to do that. Okay. Also, this card says, when your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a card you control, while you control Chimera, the Flying Mystical Beast, quick effect, you can banish this card from the field or graveyard, negate that effect, and if you do, destroy it. So many people forget that effect. They forget that they have Cornfield in the graveyard and they do not negate. Your SP Little Knight, you can negate SP Little Knight with Cornfield on the field. So we run 3 of those things. The next card, Mirror Sword Knight, which Cornfield searches. Okay? You can tribute this card. Special summon 1 monster from your deck that mentions Chimera Fusion. This can special summon any monster in your deck that mentions Chimera Fusion. Again, people will have this and forget that you can actually summon this with Mirror Sword Knight. And they don't do it. They think they don't have a play, and they do. You need to get to your Chimera fusion, and this is a way to get to it. So, Mirror Sword Knight. When a monster your opponent controls, and that's another thing people forget. When your opponent controls a monster and they activate that effect, while you control Chimera, the flying mystical beast, you can banish this from your graveyard, quick effect, or the field and negate that effect. That's the thing. Or the field. Doesn't have to be in the graveyard. People forget that. So you can attribute this card to either special summon Gazelle or Baphomet. Most of the time you're going to summon Big Wing Baphomet. Okay, so we have 3 of those. The next card we have is Gazelle, King of the Mystical Claws. Now Gazelle is very interesting. You can use this to search out a level 5 Fiend or Chimera Fusion from your deck to your hand. Now this is also a starter depending on what's in your hand. It depends on what's in your hand. If you already have the Fusion card in your hand, you search out Big Wing Baphomet and you can still do your combos from there. So we saw the deck. We have 3 Cornfield, which searches out these, which searches out these. So you have, that's 9 starters right there. 9 starters to start your plays and get your plays going. Also, if this card is sent to the graveyard for material as a fusion material, you can add 1 illusion monster from your deck to your hand. So when this is sent, guess what? You can search out this when it's sent as a fusion. You can search out this when it's sent as a fusion, and then use this to search this. So every road leads to Rome in this deck, and that's why I like it. The next card, very important card, is Big Wing Baphomet. Now, a lot of times I draw this card, and I hate drawing this card because, like, oh, it's a dead draw. Because you want to special summon it from the deck, and you want to get the pluses from it. But there are other ways around that, especially if you have Gazelle, and you use this to search out Chimera Fusion, and you can still get your plays on from there. So we have 2 of those. Okay. Also, if this is used as a fusion material, or sent to the graveyard as a material for a fusion, you can target 1 illusion monster in your graveyard and special summon it. Usually you would use this and you would special summon back Mirror Sword Knight. We'll get to that when I show you some of the combos that you can do in the deck. The next card is a one-of, Master Tile. Master Tile is a card that gets me to an OTK with Gazelle, the King of Mystical Claws. Also, it makes Gazelle, the King of Mystical Claws, get to your other play. It's a bridge. So it makes the deck more consistent and makes your awkward hands less awkward. So we'll talk about that in the future. So the next card we have is Springen's Kit. A lot of people are running Aluber and they're running ways to get Aluber onto the field. But Springen's Kit is a beast. It's a level 4 beast that's searchable with Big Wing Baphomet. It's the bridge between my branded plays and my Chimera plays, and that's why I use that over Aluber. It's a beast, and it makes my Chimera Fusion live all the time. Also, Springen's Kit can put back Big Wing Baphomet, so you can use it from the deck when you use Mirror Sword Knight. It makes that play more consistent and makes your dead hands less dead. This is a good top deck too. The next card, which we have to run, 2 Falling of Elbaz. Now I do draw into these cards, but drawing it is not that bad because you can summon it, pitch a card, fusion with your opponent's cards. It's not that bad. In most cases, it does help me to win. If I don't have branded fusion, I'll just summon this. If that's my only play, use it and continue on from there. But also with Springen's Kit, I can special summon Springen's Kit if it's in the graveyard. I can summon this and put Falling of Elbaz back into the deck, get branded fusion, and then go off from there. That's some more synergy with Springen's Kit. So we run 2 Falling Elbaz, not 3, so we won't clog our hands. The next card, Light Hex Sealed Fusion. When I use Branded Fusion to go into Albion, this helps me go into Dragoon, and it also helps me to go into Chimera the Illusion Beast, because this counts as Chimera the Flying Mystical Beast, and it leads to OTKs with this card. I have 2 OTK lines with this card. 3 if you really want to get technical. The next card I run is 2 Castor Fenrir. Now I can admit, Castor Fenrir is a great card, but it doesn't synergize with the deck at all. I really just count it as a board breaker. That's what it is. It's a board breaker. If I do have it first turn and I summon it, great. Interruption on my opponent's turn, but that's all it's for. But other than that, it does not synergize with the deck. You can summon it, search, have an extra monster to go into Guardian Chimera, great. But most of the time I would summon it, not searched, to avoid the Droll and Lockbird, and then continue my plays. And then if they don't have Droll or anything else, then I activate Castor Fenrir, and I'll search out another one. So it is a good card, but it's not important towards the deck. Okay, we main deck Droll and Lockbird. And a lot of people say, hey, don't main deck Droll and Lockbird. Why are you main decking Droll? And this card has won me so many games. Yes, the top decks might not be searching a lot. When I say the top decks, I mean Fire King, Rescue Ace. They might not be searching a lot. Now, we got Bonfire coming out, which will increase the chances of me activating this. But when you play at a regionals or YCS, and there are so many decks, say the top 40% is Rescue Ace and Unchained or Fire King that don't search a lot, but you still have 60% left. This card beats out so many decks. And also, my deck can lose to Droll and Lockbird, and I do run Crossout Designator. It's a crossout target, so I'd rather have it than not have Droll and Lockbird. If I know my opponent deck Droll and Lockbird doesn't hurt them, I'll just side it out. Nibiru. This has been winning me so many games, just like Droll. People say, oh, people summon 4 times. People are greedy. People like to eat. And Nibiru likes to eat too. So I'm going to summon Nibiru if I have it, if I can, at the most optimal time. Now, Ash Blossom goes without saying. It stops every single deck. It stops at least 1 card in every single deck. It's that good. Effect Veiler stops at least every single deck in some way. This has been instrumental to me winning a lot of duels. Okay, so those are my monsters. We're going to go with the spells. We run 3 Branded Fusion. Branded Fusion is another starter for me, or an extender. If I already have my main play, my main Chimera plays, I usually save Branded Fusion for a follow-up. If I don't have my Chimera plays and I have Branded Fusion, I go into Branded Fusion and then I go into my Chimera plays. We have only 2 Chimera Fusions. Now, a lot of times I have this, I draw this. I always have one in my hand for some reason. There's so many ways to get to these cards, and it recurs itself. I don't see why you need 3. Now, maybe there's one way. You can use Chimera Fusion to dodge Infinite Impermanence. You can use Chimera Fusion to dodge Effect Veiler. That's what I've been using it for, and having 3 increases your chances of doing that, but 2 have been just fine for me. And less cloggy. 2 triple tactic talents. I did run 3 at one point, but it became too cloggy, so I bumped it down to 2. It's been just fine. If my opponent Ash Blossoms me and stop me from my main play, I want to activate triple tactic talents to look at their hand and take another card. Usually in this deck, In the first turn, it's possible to take 3 cards from your opponent's hand, and Triple Tactics Talents helps me do that. We have 1 Called by the Grave. It's very good to stop anything in the graveyard, and it's like a pseudo sort of DD Crow if you want to use it that way. And we have 2 crossed out designators. I run so many hand traps in this deck that I have enough targets to run cross out designator, and it's been helping me win a lot of games. And we have 3 infinite impermanents. It's just another effect veiler, and it's a board breaker. I count it as a board breaker. So we're gonna go to the extra deck, and I'm gonna explain the extra deck to you. So I run 2 Chimera, the Flying Mystical Beast. Now I can admit, you might not need to run 2 of these. Usually I only summon 1 per game, but there are some situations where I do need to run the second one, and it's there because it's the main fusion, the most easiest fusion for me to go into, and I don't want to have Chimera fusion in my hand and no fusion target, so I run 2 just in case. Oh, if you don't know what this does, okay. If you don't, at the end phase, your opponent has to send 1 random card from their hand. So if you're going first, they're going second, guess what? They're starting off with 5 cards instead of 6. And you might be able to get a key card from their hand. Here's an effect that people forget. On your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can banish this from your graveyard and then target 1 beast, fiend, or illusion in your graveyard and special summon it. So many people forget that this can special summon a fiend, beast, or illusion from the graveyard, and that can set up plays for you in the future. Okay. So the next card we have is Baphomet, the Flying King of Mystical Beasts. This card with Master Tau have been winning me games. It has gotten me out of so many sticky situations where my hand has been awkward. I'm like, how do I play around this? How do I get to where I need? That with Master Tau has been making me win so many games. Okay? All you need for this is a beast, fiend, or illusion. It's an easy monster to go to when your hands are looking weird, and it can help you win games. Now, this has a second effect that people also forget too. You could banish this from your graveyard. Target one of your banished beast, fiend, or illusion monsters and special summon it. Now, why is that important? You can loop these cards. You banish this to summon a beast, fiend, or illusion. Great, now this is banished. You have this in the graveyard. You banish this, you can summon this. This goes to the graveyard, you banish this, you can summon this from the banished pile. So many times I looked at my graveyard like, okay, how am I going to defeat my opponent? My board is white. I would banish this, summon this, and now I have negates in the graveyard that are now active because I have this on the field. Now, guess what? My Mirror Sword Knight is live, and it negates things. So that's why that's important. Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, I think it goes without saying. It's an easy monster. It negates things, and it can win you games. It puts a lot of pressure on my opponent to get rid of that card. Magnum the Reliever. At first, I hated this card. I really did. Until my opponent tried to negate my Guardian Chimera. Okay? They tried to negate it with an effect valor. And I had another Chimera fusion in my hand. So they would activate effect valor, or they would activate infinite impermanence, and since this is a beast, I can fuse with it using Chimera fusion, dodge the effect valor, and then summon Magnum the Reliever, and then my Guardian Chimera will then proceed to go off. So that has been a reason why you should run this. It dodges cards and it resets your Chimera fusion back into the deck so you can again search it later on. Okay. The next card that I have here, Super Star Slayer. When I'm at my last place, when I almost have nothing else that I can do, I summon this. It gets past Barone. It breaks boards. It keeps me alive for at least, I hope, one turn. And it's a fiend, and you confusion with it because it's a fiend. Okay, Guardian Chimera. I do run 2 Guardian Chimeras. 2. Now the reason why I run 2 is because a lot of the games go into the grind game. If I have 1 and have nothing else, it kind of sucks. Having 2, being in the grind game, and my opponent's like, oh, you have another one? And I can draw more cards, destroy that board. It seals the deal. This is one of the main fusions that I go into. So I run 2. Okay. We have 2 Albion the Branded Dragon. Now, Albion the Branded Dragon, I run 2. I run 2 for the first play. I might go into 2 Dragoons. If they out my board some way, I have a second one. Usually by the time it is late game, I can go into Albion, and then I can fuse into Lubellion. Then I can use Lubellion's effect, put back the Hex Seal, and then I can fuse, let me show you. I'm putting all my cards somewhere. I can fuse into, where are you? Where are you? You gotta find it. This, and win games. If it's late game, and I fuse this into this, and I go into this, I have 5, 6, 7 attacks. It's an OTK, it's game. Also, I can fuse with this, and I can send Light Hex Seal Fusion with Branded Fusion, and fuse with this, into this, and win games that way. The next few cards are Rembrandt. I fuse with Falling Albaz and the Beast Monster, and then I get to search out Kotal. This helps me win so many games. So many people going to SP Little Knight, but I could just negate and say no. Okay, SP Little Knight. When you fuse or whatever, and they don't get over your board, and you need to get rid of a card on your opponent's side of the field, okay, you go into SP Little Knight. It's just a good card that just removes so many things and dodges so many things when you need it to. I think it's necessary to run. And the last card is Titaniclad the Ash Dragon. This gets me up to what? 4,700 attack, I believe. It can bam, attack. If my opponent has a board with extra deck monsters, this is unaffected and I can just proceed to attack. It's one of the biggest monsters I can make in the game for this deck right now. Now you might be saying, why don't I run Mirror Jade? I have never needed to go into a Mirror Jade ever. In the past 6 months, all my other options were better. Yes, Mirror Jade is great. And it's a non-targetable removal. But it has not won me any games. Titaniclad has been the card for me. And if I'm playing against Pearly, it has been the card for me to get over their board. I do have a side deck. Actually, I'm going to show you the side deck really quickly. It changes. It does change. But I'm going to show you the cards that I've been using most recently or been using the most. Evenly Match has been really good for me. I think it goes without saying. It doesn't destroy, it banishes, and it simplifies the game state for me. I do run Lancia. I play against Runic so many times. That's just my luck. So this is a personal choice for me. This is a spot you can change. It doesn't have to be Lancia. DD Crow. This is also a personal choice for me. I run it just in case. I do play against Scarecrow, Claw, or other decks, other graveyard decks, and this has been just a personal choice. Never needed it. Summon Limit. I used to run 3 that can only be 1. I was testing out Summon Limit, but Summon Limit is good if you have the upper hand, but it can hinder you too, and that's why I don't like it. But it is good. It is good. Dimensional Barrier. We got Rich Rules, we got Sync Rules, we got so many things. You activate this, you can stun your opponent for a turn if they need to synchro, or if they need to go into something, they can't. Ghost Ogre, Snow Rabbit. This card I cited in a lot. A lot of YouTubers say, hell, this card is bad. You shouldn't use this card at all. It's not good, this format. But so many field spell cards touches out so many things. So many activated cards. Gold Sarcophagus. This even got past the SP Little Knight. Or I needed to keep my opponent from going for game, and they negated one of my cards with Barone, activated Ghost Ogre, destroyed it. And guess what? It's not on the field anymore. Spot removal. Spot removal. And it helps. It really does. Radiant. Kaiju. It's a fiend. It's dark. If my opponent doesn't run a lot of, or doesn't summon more than 5 turns per turn, I side out my Nibiru's. I put these in, and it gets rid of monsters, and it still counts as a fusion material for Chimera fusion. So that's my side deck. It's up to you to use what you want, or side, or change what you want. But hey, that's that.